Hello, my name is Brant. Today is the 6th day of August 2020, and my title of my talk today is "What do you think and how we get here?" In other words, how do we get on this planet? What took place? Um, we're in a body, and we have either a spirit or a soul, however else you want to look at it. Um, there's many ways of looking at it, and I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to claim to have those answers, but I wanted to share what I think transpires and how we get here, and then also with that, why did we come here? What was the purpose of this? Why are we here? Um, the sad part simply is that is there anyone who got off this planet type of thing? And I'm referring to reincarnation. That is, it seems as though many of us come back and repeat the same life again. We incarnate again, and I don't want to continue to incarnate again. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to come back here. So I've been listening to a lady named Lavette Hawkins, who's kind of helped me to understand some of these things. But let's just start and not be talking all the time here. So the perspective I've been taught or thinking of is simply is that we came here to find out who we really are, and that's why I wrote a video, did a little short video on this is a test, and I think a lot of it has to do to deal with us, to do with humility, and also to do with simply is are we who we say we are, and then we're putting the certain circumstances and how do we react in those circumstances, and that's how we mature. I think it's a part of that. I think it's that ways, and so I believe that. And this is just a belief system here. This is not knowledge, But I wanted to share this because I want to get some feedback from others. I'm interested in other people's ideas, why they're here. If you don't believe in reincarnation, you're welcome to share. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think we just live here one time and we're gone and we're no longer around. I just don't. That doesn't make sense. And the church itself, many years ago, used to teach reincarnation until I think it was 546 or somewhere in that neighborhood. They changed their belief system with that doctrines. Um, so I believe that basically we come from somewhere else, maybe from the stars, and that the planets have enormous effect upon us and how things happen in our lives, what happens. I think we choose our families, we choose our parents, we choose our siblings, all these things. I believe that we choose, as for me, to be a boy, um, some who also choose to be a girl. And I think that when we're in our mom's womb, that we choose to be a boy or girl. And I believe that's when we're whole. I think that's when we're whole. The feminine part of our head and our is there. There is the male part, the masculine there also. So we have been taught that there's two sides of the brain, one being a feminine, the other being masculine, and being whole. And I think that makes sense because as we once come out of our mother's womb, we're either a boy or girl. I believe we're born innocent. I don't. How in the world can it not be? And then we eventually lose our innocence, and then as we get older, we are taught knowledge and educate ourselves and to be able to look and read and those type of things. And for me, it's a searching. It's a searching for my other half, my feminine part. I think that has a lot to do with what I call we have two temples in us, in our heads. One is the right and one is the left, masculine and feminine, again. And the third eye is reflecting to basically being whole again. I think that has a lot to do with the 7 chakras. That none of this happens. You don't suddenly go from the base and then suddenly you're at the top here, or your third eye, or your crown chakra. I think it basically it comes up through the middle. It's a narrow way. I think this is through certain aspects of your nerves. We choose, back to what I was saying earlier, we choose our parents. We choose our parents probably because simply is they're the best representation of what we need to be, what needs to take place in our lives while we're here. And there are certain people who reincarnate here who have terrible parents, who have insecurities, who are they don't love their kids. I believe that's part of the choice that the person chooses in that background, meaning that simply is that they needed this in their lives to grow up, or is it to do with karma? Is it to do with our past lives and what we did? And we're put in karma, and we have a poor parent. We have poor siblings. We come from a very poor background, educationally, money-wise, all those things. So, could it be karma? Or do we have free will? Do we have free will to the point simply as we choose when to come? I think that is true, but I don't know. I don't have the answers again. This is just an open forum, just kind of basically asking questions. And had someone I was talking to last night that basically said that he disagreed with me. And he says, well, how can you say that the planets and the stars have an effect upon us? That is, so are you saying that simply is that we are controlled by these stars? Can we not also have that in us to say, no, this is what I'm going to do in my life? So I have totally free will. Again, I don't have the answers, but I'm asking questions because I think it's pertinent. I think it's pertinent because as you get older, you realize you're not going to be here. Your days are going to be shorter than they were before, and you're getting older. You're not, you don't do things that you used to do, or you don't have the energy you once had. All these things, and we have the tools now to do this, to communicate across boundaries, hopefully, to those who are seeking to find the truth in all things, in little things as well as big things. And when we're here, I've had someone do my natal chart and also my Saturn return, which helps me to understand why I'm here, what's the purpose of me being here, and to look at those things and to correct those things. And it's important for me to understand the natal chart and then be able to go from there. And then you have your Saturn return, which occurs every 30 years. And so people who are, younger than 30 years old, I wouldn't recommend it until basically you do your Saturn return. And your first one would probably around 30 years old. It doesn't mean it's going to be exactly 30 years old. Sometimes it's maybe a year or two beforehand. I know that both my Saturn returns when I think it was 28 or 29 years old, 29 I think it was, that basically I had a Saturn return. And then I had another Saturn return when I was first part of 2018. And so that was when I was 58 years old. I wasn't even, actually, it wasn't even 58. It was actually 57. So I'm just, just speaking out loud. There's so many questions. I think it's so important as you get older to ask questions about yourself and why. Why do we become depressed, and why do we cry, and why do we get angry? All these things that what causes that? Part of it's to be, I think, to do with we being somewhat spoiled and wanting our way. A lot of it has to do with fears, traumas maybe in the past. I know that simply as for me, going through what I call the Saturn and Jupiter deal here, retrograde, occurring right now, and will continue until the end of, not the end, but the time of the winter solstice. So that'll be the 20th or 21st day of the month of December. And so one day I feel okay, and the next day I'm depressed, and I don't even know why I'm depressed for. I don't have a why, and emotionally not disturbed, but just like, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? I got up yesterday and I felt okay, or the day before, a couple months ago, I was fine. So why is this? Why is this taking place? These are all questions. Again, I don't have answers. It's good to have feedback. I think that would be important for this video, is to have enormous feedback and what others think, because we all can learn from one another. And I think the other thing simply is most people at a younger age just are not, they're trying to make it. That is, they're trying to survive. They're doing whatever they enjoy doing or trying to do, or in this day and age, it's becoming harder and harder to do something you enjoy because there are less and less jobs out there. Although I think simply is the possibility is that there's creativity can take place through the internet. So, for example, we don't have to, school is going to be something I think is going to be in the future. It's going to be gone. I think a lot of it's going to be simply is that schooling is going to take place from person to person on the internet and video, something of this nature. And those who teach well will get paid for each video or whatever, however they teach, such and such, so they will be able to make a living. But it's not what it was when I was young, because there was abundance of jobs. I really never had a hard time finding work until, alas, once you get over a certain age, and they basically don't want people who have any knowledge anymore. They don't, because they see you as you have too much knowledge and you're not trainable. Interesting how they look at that. But they want to train people nowadays. They don't even want to see people. Isn't that remarkable? The human resources, which is an interesting term, because that's what you are. You are a resource in the work world today. They don't want to see you. They don't even want to talk to you, which is the most impersonal thing I think you can do, because they're gifts that you have, being able to communicate. I think a lot of it has to do with the computer. I think it has a lot to do with young people today who really don't know how to communicate. They just don't know how to communicate. And so they are actually, in my opinion, they struggle because they don't know how to communicate. Oh yeah, they can figure out all these things on the computer or stuff like that, but you're not communicating back and forth with a person. You're not communicating with a female or male back and forth. And I think that's detrimental. I think it's very detrimental for relationships in many ways. Doesn't mean it's impossible. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, it just makes it detrimental. It makes it harder for the person that goes through that. I can remember when they introduced computers, I guess in the 90s, I guess it was. So it's been over 20 years ago, or approximately. So some people have already been through the system without even basically conversing with one-to-one in a way. A lot of it's been done on a computer. And then simply as they discourage people to have your own personal handwriting, that is your cursive, your signature per se, they don't want you to have that anymore. Which is part of I feel like it's part of a way you communicate in the past and in the books and type things of that nature. Although books are not written in cursive language, they're in print, so that all people can understand how to read them. But so what's back to what I was saying simply is that there's not always negatives about computers too. But for those of us who never grew up on computers, it's very frustrating because we weren't taught this, and computers have changed dramatically. When I was involved in business when I was 30 or 40 years old, yeah, we had computers such and such, but it was all to do with inventory and customer information and accounting and all that stuff. But it was never anything like dialogue like I'm doing now. This is a new phenomenon that allows you to do this and record it or even do it live. So, you can communicate with others on the internet. I think it's crucial that we know why we're here and what is our purpose. And everybody's going to be different. And most of this knowledge I've kind of come to has been the last 6 to 8 months, based upon a couple of people, mainly Lavette Hawkins and her videos, and then also with Victoria Levy, who does also astrology charts, and so does Lavette. She does astrology too. So I've learned from that. So again, this is the opportunity of that. The younger generation is I think, is going to struggle because and the only jobs that are basically going to be out there, it seems to be, is what I call a lot of manual work. But that's going to be eliminated soon because there's just less jobs because now there's automated equipment. And so now what happens? What's going to happen? So people have got to be, younger people are going to have to take more risks, and they're going to have to create their own abilities to be entrepreneurs on their own. And they're going to have to do that either maybe person to person or it's going to be going through the internet. But so do you think that you just come here by happenstance? Do you think there's such a thing as a creator? Or, I don't use the word God because I grew up in a Christian circle. So, God is just an article. It should be just simply just God. This is a general statement. And, most people today think of God as being the Bible. What's the God of the Bible? Well, there are other gods out there supposedly, and so the word God it doesn't have a name, and there are those that would say something is Jehovah or something of that nature, and rightfully so. But I grew up simply is that it was just either God or Lord type of thing, and I'm not, obviously young people today are not, they're turned off by religion, but yet the belief system is still there. There's other belief systems. There's belief systems, from the Eastern world, and Buddha, and you have Islam, you have Judaism, You have all kinds of even paganism. So, which those ideas were, that was a closed system for me. It was, we never even thought about Buddha or Islam, none of this stuff when I grew up in a Christian home. In fact, it was scowned upon. In fact, you couldn't find the information hardly even if it was even in a library. So that'll tell you what's what's taking place. It has taken place. So I'd like to have some feedback, and maybe sometime we can do a live show via YouTube here. I know that that's possible. I don't know how that would work out. If you enjoy this or want to do something of this nature, I'm open to certain ideas. If someone has some ideas to do this, but I think that basically I came here not knowing what I was going to do, and yet my drawn to certain things has led me to certain areas, and then I came to the conclusion that what I was taught wasn't true. And so you're trying to unravel what you were taught, but then you realize that something else may be important here. You may have simply been taught what's the word I'm trying to think of? The word is simply dogma or doctrines from the church. It may not be even true, that you come in and look at the scriptures supposedly, and you have these glasses on and you look at it a certain way instead of actually looking at it for what it really is saying. So you're coming in with a presupposition and saying, oh, this is what it means, when you really you've been indoctrinated to the point that you think this is true, but in reality it's not true because you've been told something. You've been told something that you thought was true. So the last 20 years I've been trying to unravel all this, trying to unravel certain things. I've looked into what I call a couple of major people. I've looked into Rudolf Steiner, some of his works. I have also looked into, I'm trying to think of his name now, Goethe, who was what I call the fourth way. He spoke of that. Ouspensky is another guy who was teaching that in the early century, probably 100 years ago, roughly. And there are others I've looked at, but those are the two major ones. I haven't really gotten into, basically I've listened to other people and have shied away from eventually. I used to listen to Michael Tsarion, Mark Passio, and others, but they're not answering my spiritual questions. They're what I call either history or political deals, and I'm not really concerned about that. That's not important. It's just another thing I need to drop and move on. So I don't go to church. I have really no desire to go to church. I feel that the church is you, that is, you yourself. But I don't really have any certain things to do. I have not done anything to do with meditation. My mind is always going. So meditation seems to be hard for me. But I do like to get out in nature. I enjoy that. I enjoy being out in my backyard and listening to the birds and even talking to them. I think it's important. I'm sure they probably do understand me. And that's why I did the little thing on the totem animals, is that certain animals that come in your life and they're speaking to you. So anyway, it's about 25 minutes on this video, and I think I need to cease. So I appreciate it, and thank you for listening. You have a marvelous day.